The fate of Henry VIII's tomb is at first puzzling. How could the will of so mighty a monarch seem to matter so little so soon after his death? We can find answers to these questions in clues all around us here at Windsor Castle, which was much improved under Henry VIII and was, until he acquired Hampton Court Palace, one of his favourite residences. Henry's break with Rome was about more than just his desire for Anne and longing for a son. It was also about authority and status. Henry firmly believed, as he wrote in 1515, that in worldly matters, the kings of England in time past have never had any other authority than God alone. I'm here in Guildford to trace the life and career of Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland.
In this church, a woman walled herself in, trying to escape the material world.
I'm here in Chawton with Jane Austen. Just kidding, it's a statue. But this is where she lived and wrote some of her most famous works. I'm here at Silent Pool in Surrey. And don't let the strikingly clear water fool you. This is a place that has been continually shrouded in mystery. I'm here in Cornwall, and to be perfectly honest, we weren't really planning on filming, but this place is too cool to pass up. It's actually an abandoned lifeboat station built in 1914. But that's not the most exciting thing, because this is where the Spanish Armada was first spotted in 1588. Gifford gave the new abbey all the land within the parish of Waverley and more than 30 acres of the surrounding area on which to build, plant crops and become a thriving community. The abbey was also freed from all taxes, first by King Stephen and then by Pope Eugenius III himself in 1147. Despite not being quite as well off as some of the other abbeys in the country, Waverley Abbey always did okay, until 1201, when disaster struck. A flood tore through the grounds and all but carried the abbey away. The damage was so complete that the monks were left having to beg for food from surrounding monasteries and abbeys. And this actually started very early in the war effort. As soon as Belgium was invaded and destroyed, the medievalist rhetoric began. It was incredibly easy to translate the story of St. George into their present day. Belgium, the princess, was being attacked and potentially devoured by the great German dragon. And we, the Brits, we could sweep in as St. George, slay this dragon and save the princess. I'm here at Chalk Valley History Festival with Jeremy Bowen, Middle East editor for the BBC, presenter and author. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. We appreciate your time.
Not at all. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, well, in this book, The Making of the Modern Middle East, and in the series that preceded it, you met ordinary people at home and on the front lines, as well as their leaders. How did the difference in their positions, their hierarchies, impact and inform your understanding of the wider issues?
You know, one thing I've found, I think, in the years I've been a foreign correspondent for the BBC, many years, most of my passing
only at Chalk Valley.
Passing 1940s armoured vehicles.
Yes.
Well, now the 8th Army's passed us by, we can continue our conversation. Sorry, what was the question?
So the question was, how does the difference in the hierarchies or status of people that you've interviewed impact or...
One thing I've learned over many years as a foreign correspondent is that actually human beings whatever their backgrounds, tend to want the same kinds of things. They want to have a relatively peaceful life.
This is the story of powerful Mercian families and a man who was once voted the most evil man in British history. It's a tale of treachery, power, betrayal, and murder. And joining us today to discuss this thrilling part of Britain's dark history is top Anglo-Saxon historian and best-selling author Annie Whitehead. So Annie, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me. Edrich didn't really stand much of a chance. And there's a famous line where Canute said, pay this man what we owe him.
Wow.
And the payment was that Edrich was beheaded.
Wow.
So that was the end of him.
Gosh, what a story. What a career this man had. That's crazy. Just a little side note question. Is Godwin Harold Godwinson's father?
He is indeed, yes.
Okay, yes. Right.
So that then his family also did this wonderful trick of rising from, we don't really know Godwin's background, but came very, very quickly to prominence in a very short space of time. So.
The intruders knew that they only had a matter of seconds before they were found. They listened for the window to close, then ran to the back door. They huddled against the wall, hearts pounding, sweat dripping behind their handkerchief masks. They heard footsteps from behind the door. A key turned. The door swung open. Arthur Schneider stepped out, his deep-set eyes scanning the garden. Without thinking, the vigilante closest to the door swung round, crashing a fist into Schneider's face. Arthur stumbled backwards. The attackers followed. They pushed him to the ground, beating him with fists and bats. These tales of myth and legend, folklore and fable, are the what-if stories of our nations. What if giants once roamed these mountains? What if dragons once terrorized the villages of farmers and princes? What if a high king of Britain rose from the shadows of the Roman Empire to unite the people and fend off invaders? What if magic coursed through the veins of the trees?
If you're anything like me, you love new books, especially new books that answer a question you may have had for a while. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, I've been left with the same question. Why would Putin lead Russia to invade Ukraine? And this new book that I've been given by Bloomsbury, Putin and the Return of History by Martin and Daniel Sixsmith, basically answers that question. It's like it was written for me. They look